What's going on, everyone? So, what a game by the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics yesterday. That game was a rock fight. I mean, they were going back and forth. Numerous times it looked like the Cavs were going to inch back into this game, and it was like, oh, are they really about to pull this off? Down 17 at halftime. Just had that excellent fourth quarter. Jace Tatum hit that huge shot to end the third quarter. Otherwise, this might have been a completely different game. And even with the Celtics, they made, 22 threes. The Cleveland Cavaliers were still right there. Ended up losing by 3. A couple times where it looked like, hey, Cleveland might actually pull this thing off. But look, Cleveland, excellent team. Start 15-0, best in franchise history. Even better than with this guy behind me in LeBron James. And this is a team that really does believe that they can be a title contender. It's a team that really believes that they're going to be in that conversation in June. And look, I don't doubt them, right? Like, this is a team that they do get a little Donovan Mitchell reliant at times, right? Like, they were getting into the game, moving the basketball, and multiple guys getting involved, right? You had a couple like Jared Allen, just dunks and a couple mid-range shots. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell hit a couple shots during that stretch in that third quarter, but when they were kind of moving the basketball and it was like keeping things on their toes, they're just so much harder to beat rather than it's just like, hey, here's Donovan Mitchell, give him the basketball and just get out of his way, right? I understand late in the game when you're trying to close it out, say it's a tie game with a minute left. It's like, put the ball in your best player's hands and let them go win the game. But late in the third, early fourth, I would have liked to see them kind of, stick to the script here a little bit. Stick to the game plan. I thought that there were times where they kind of got away and played into the hand that the Celtics wanted them to play, which was just, heavy isolation on Donovan Mitchell and make him take tough shots, and he did that. Question, though, whenever you finally lose that game, right, and particularly with a team that no one really expected to be this good, right? Even if you are somebody that thought the Cavs were the best team in the NBA, did you really think they were going to start 15-0, right? If so, you need to go buy a lottery ticket, because that is quite the prediction if you predicted that they would start 15-0. So usually it's, what is the bounce back, right? You take the loss. You got a game tomorrow against the Pelicans. Now, that usually should, on most occasions, be a W on the board, right? If that was any other time during the stretch, it would have been a W on the board. But you see a lot teams, they finally take that first loss, and then it's like a losing streak. It doesn't even matter who they play. They could play a G League team and they'll lose just because, it's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Because, in all honesty, you look at the Cavs schedule, they might not lose another game till they play Boston again on December 1st. They play the New Orleans Pelicans tomorrow, then they play Toronto, then they play Atlanta, then they play Atlanta again, so they play them twice in a 4-day span, and then that fifth game is against the Boston Celtics. So they're very likely might not lose again until you get to Boston. I wouldn't be shocked if, that Boston game is in Cleveland, so that helps. But I wouldn't be shocked if they lose one of the Atlanta games. All right, because Atlanta's been pretty good. They're young, they're athletic, right? They're good enough to win one of those games. And it's really hard. I've talked about this for other teams. It's really hard to beat somebody twice in a 3-day span. It's just, you play somebody so much. It's tough. But in the same breath, I could definitely see the Cleveland Cavaliers still pulling out that win. I'm going to be really curious to see, one, how do they look tomorrow? Even if they win that game, is it kind of like, it's a tight one? And then do they start to kind of come to reality a little bit here? Right? Do you start seeing them? Or is this just a team that's just like, hey, took a loss, look what it took for us to lose. It took Boston shooting the lights out, and we still were in that game, and we still had a chance to win that game, and we still probably should have won that game, right? And a couple of ill-advised shots. There was a stretch where Cavs, it was 7 minutes left, 8 minutes left in the fourth or whatever. They were down 3, and they had 3 opportunities, and it was just bad, ill-advised shots. I know one of them, Donovan Mitchell, literally went as far in as you could and then just rattled out. I get that, but it's just there's more to the game than just taking a highly contested 3. right? Like, make the plays, do, and this is what I was talking about, like them getting very reliant on Donovan Mitchell. I know Donovan Mitchell just hit a big three the moment prior, but it's just like, okay, take the heat check one, that's fine. But then after that, get back into business. You don't need to start just shot chucking. Next thing you know, they score, and all of a sudden you look up and it's 7, and then they get it to 10, and then it's just like the game just completely changes. Where it's like, you had 3 opportunities. If all 3 of those are a 2, you're winning. You're up 3. This might have been a completely different game. I mean, you lost by 3, right? Like you'd be worse probably looking at overtime. But realistically, it changes the entire landscape of that game. The game becomes a completely different game, right? Because now you're ahead. Now the pressure is on Boston of like, we were up 17 and we ended up blowing the lead and stuff, right? And it's like, now the Cavs, they have the momentum. They're building. They're growing. It's things like that I have my concern come playoff time, right? We saw it last year in the playoffs. There was a game, it was like, game 2 or something, like game 3, where Donovan Mitchell scored 20 points. I think it was 20, 22, something like that, but scored like 20 points in the fourth quarter, and he literally had all of the team's points. All of them. And they lost the game. He had like 50, and they still lost, right? Like, because that's what teams want. That's what teams prefer. Right? Let Donovan Mitchell take 30 shots this quarter. Right? Like, if he thinks he can beat us and we're playing the right way, you just completely neutralize everyone else, take everyone else out of the game. Again, there are times where I think, you need it. Every team. There's times where Boston, tight game, give the ball to your best player. Here, Tatum, go get a bucket. All right? Again, like I mentioned, 30 seconds left, tie game, or down 1 or something like that. There you go, Donovan. Go win us the game. But possession after possession after possession after possession, you become predictable, right? And unless the guy's just absolute lights out, which, don't get me wrong, Donovan Mitchell was having himself a game, but he wasn't lights out. He had his struggles shooting this game, particularly early on. If he just can't miss and he's like 17 and 18 from the floor, then it's like, yeah, like you might as well. Like that is your best offense. But that's not what this game was. And you just saw several just ill-advised shots that you may been able to win. There's clear concerns, in my opinion, with the Cavs. Right? I like the Cavs. I think that they're a good, fun team. I could easily see them in the conference finals. You get the right matchups, whatnot. But I also just think that there are a lot of issues that team kind of defaults to at times. Right? They kind of remind me of like a young Celtics team. Right, like where the Celtics started to get like predictable. Like you saw before they won the championship, right? It's one of the reasons why I took the Warriors to beat Boston a couple years ago. Like Boston will do the things that work, and then when it's not working, instead of just staying the course, they become incredibly predictable. And then it becomes a lot of ISO with Jalen and Jason, and they just kind of get away from what works, right? And you saw that really affect the young Celtics team, years ago, and then they were finally able to get over the hump. It's kind of how I feel about the Cavs. It's like they have they have a formula that clearly works, and when they're playing the right way, they're not beating this team. This team is just, when they're getting you 30 assists and creating all these turnovers and playing pace and locking down defensively and sticking to their identity, right? This team, you get the 15-0, but you'll see at times that like when things start, when the panic meter starts to teeter a little bit, they start getting further and further away from what works. And it's like, okay, heavy isolation from Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland or whatever, rather than just like, hey, you're still in this game. If you play the right way and trust your defense, you'll be winning this game in the end. And that's kind of what Boston did for many, many years. Right? And it's kind of how I feel about the Cavs. It's like, when things are working, it's great. As soon as things start getting a little wobbly, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, like, okay, Donovan, save us. And it's just, again, there's times where you need that. There's times where no one else, like guys just can't hit a shot, or it's just rough. But that's not what happened in this game, right? It was like guys were good. Porter Jr. hit some shots. Like I said, Jared Allen had a couple nice ones. Jerome, right? Like you had several guys hit some key shots. Even Mobley, right? Like, and then they just went to like, oh, here's Donovan. And Donovan's out there playing 1-on-5. And Boston's continuing to do what they do. And they're getting all these like nice, they're moving the basketball, getting open looks, a couple dump downs to Horford, and he's finishing at the rim. And next thing you know, the game's out of reach. And it's like, all right, probably losing this one. But no, again, very early in the season, a lot of learning, a lot of maturing, a lot of growth. Kind of pick it up. But you got to love what you're seeing from the Cavs thus far. They've been very impressive. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What did you make of the Cavs finally losing a game? Do you think that they're probably going to win the next 4? They'll right the ship once again and be right back to it? Do you think no, they might start teetering? They finally shown that they're not unbeatable, right? But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know either way down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.